All righty, I've got 10:03 and we asked and invited you here for 10 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started because I don't like to punish the punctual. I learned that lesson a long time ago. So again, good morning. My name is Angela Gibson Shaw. I have the pleasure of serving as the president of GLAC, the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to GLAC in the AM. This is our technical assistance program where we curate special information for our members and friends in an effort to help them navigate on how to do business in the city of Los Angeles and beyond. Before we get into today's presentations, let's do a little virtual networking so that we can all see who's in the room. So please feel free to put your company and contact information and the product that you offer in the chat box. We'll give you a little time to do that because someone may have something that you need or the other way around. We'll also ask you to put your questions there and we'll answer them as we have time and move along. And please remember to keep your microphone on mute, and we'd love for you to keep your camera on. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I see so many familiar faces, but again, let's put our information in the chat room so our guest speakers can see who's in the room, the fabulous, awesome entrepreneurs that are here wanting to do business with LAWA. I'd now like to introduce our awesome GLAC staff at this time. We have Jessica O. Davis, our special events coordinator. Wave, Jessica, thank you. Naomi Scott, our operations director. And I'm not sure, Courtney, is she here this morning?
Not yet.
Okay, and she's our admin support. So thank you, ladies, for your great job. So this morning, we're going to talk about how to do business with Los Angeles World Airports. Maybe you've heard of them as LAWA. Maybe you've heard of them as LAX. We're going to hear all about that. And recently, the Los Angeles City Council approved a $30 billion contract to help overhaul Los Angeles World Airports. This is going to result in a significant upgrade of the LAX infrastructure. From now, they're working on it now. They've been working on it leading up to the Olympics. And so this project presents a significant opportunity for small businesses and that we can participate in. So this morning, we're going to talk about how you can participate. Today's discussion will be led by Veronica Soto, who's a senior advisor for workforce development and economic impact. She's here with her team to help you navigate the process of how to do business with Los Angeles World Airports. Welcome, Veronica. The floor is yours.
Thank you so very much, and good morning to everyone. We are so pleased to be able to showcase the work that is underway at LAX and some of the projects that are underway in Van Nuys Airport, because that's also our airport, and we have a lot going on to improve our facilities and our infrastructure. And so we are everyone in Los Angeles is gearing up for the 2028 Olympics. And of course, we are basically the gateway for many of our international visitors to come to Los Angeles. And so we want to make sure that our facilities and our terminals and everything is ready to greet the world in 2028. But even before 2028, making sure that we're also ready to welcome the world in 2026 for the World Cup. So a lot going on at LAX. Today, we're going to go ahead and kind of give you an overview of those projects that are underway in preparation for the Olympics, which projects will be completed by then, and also give a overview of our construction design build MATOC, which is our contract, is an on-call contract that has a lot of excitement surrounding it, and give an overview of our terminal development program projects and schedule, our airport development program projects and schedule, which will be given by Hans Hylenius, who is our Deputy Executive Director, responsible for all the Terminal Development Improvement Program. And so he's already on as well. And then we're going to touch on the inclusivity requirements that we have, that our board has incorporated into all of our contracts to ensure that we're creating opportunities for small business, local business, diverse business, but most importantly, that we are creating economic impact in Los Angeles by focusing our efforts in creating pathways, not just for workers, but also for companies to do work at the airport. And then we're going to open it up for questions. And so these are the projects that are either already complete or are underway in order to be able to be operational by the 2028 Olympics. So you can see that on the terminals.
Hey, Monica, are you sharing? I don't see a deck.
Can you see it, Angela?
Or maybe it's me.
Yep, we see a screen.
You do? All right, my bad. Okay, hang on. Okay. Oh, now it is. Okay, my bad. Sorry.
That's okay. So that's Hans, everyone.
Yeah, sorry. Hi.
Doing QA/QC. But anyhow, so these are all the terminal projects that are either already complete or underway in preparation for the Olympics. As you can see, there's quite a number of them. I wanted to highlight the last two, the Landscaping Improvement Program and Wayfinding Program. And that is because these are in design, and so there's going to be a lot of opportunities for small contractors to pursue this type of work as these projects are defined and then go out to construction. And so I wanted to highlight those two. On the land side, Access Modernization Program, I think there is no greater excitement than the Automated People Mover project, which is right now about 99% complete. The trains are being tested, and we will be operational the first quarter of 2026, which is really going to go ahead and cut down on the amount of traffic coming into our central terminal area, as well as minimize, what I consider the bad environmental impacts that all of these vehicles have by coming into the airport. So the Automated People Mover is going to take a lot of those vehicles off and make the environment better for everyone. The Consolidated Rental Car Facility, that one is complete, essentially. Avis is already using it to rent cars to people who are visiting Los Angeles. ITF Auxiliary Curbs, that one's also under construction. Receiving Station, that one's already complete. And the Smart Parking System, obviously, we've already built a new parking facility, and we're incorporating a smart parking systems across the board to making sure that we're moving people in as quickly as possible and automating as much as we can, because again, this contributes to the guest experience. No one wants to have a bad experience getting into a parking lot and then having another bad experience later on. So we want to make sure that we have a good flow right from the beginning of people's experience with LAX. The air side, these are all the taxiways and runways. Most people don't see this unless you're on the airplane. You'll see yourself landing or taking off, and you'll see the conditions on our runways and taxiways. But one of the things that you will see as we get closer to 2028 is the roads work. We are going to go ahead and reconstruct the roads coming in and out of the airport. So again, minimizing, the congestion by having roads that really are more efficient and safer for drivers to come into the airport area. So the multiple task award contract, this has been, I would say, one of the best ways, and I would say the standard now that other public agents are looking at to see how they can maximize not just the expediency of work, but also how do we maximize the participation of small local business, as well as medium-sized business. How do we treat everybody the same? Not treating the larger firms with any type of preference, but treating small businesses just like we would a large firm. And so we do have a $30 billion capital program. $18.6 billion of that is already completed or underway, which means we have a remaining $11.4 billion, which is quite significant. $5 billion of the $11.4 billion would be through our MATOC. And our MATOC at this point in time is almost 70 projects that have been identified that can actually be procured from the MATOC contract. So we're really making sure that we are promoting all of those opportunities to the firms. So for those of you that are not familiar with what a MATOC is, we really took this from the federal government. This is the way the federal government tends to do a lot of its work when it does on-call work. And so this allows us to be able to be more creative and more efficient with how we're letting out work. And so we establish an on-call pool of qualified contractors that can perform work for LAWA in a very quick manner. The contracts, the way we went ahead and awarded these, we went ahead and awarded them to small, medium, and large size contracts so that everybody would have an opportunity to compete as a prime and be able to do so based on the scope of work that they can perform. And so I'll share a little bit about that. But these are the benefits. I already know that people have always said, well, small businesses can never be a prime. But no, we actually reduced the barriers to competition and allowed small contractors to be able to compete as a prime. This allows us to also be scalable for greater inclusivity. When we look at these contracts, specifically Mr. Tylenius, when he looks at his projects, he identifies those that can go directly to a small company. So he'll basically say, hey, okay, these are the pool of small companies that can compete for this work. And so we can be very, very, direct as to how we propose to procure all of these projects. And when I said that we're treating small companies just like we treat large companies, I wasn't kidding. Everyone that has a prime contract has a $5 billion contract capacity. So imagine that. Usually on-call contracts, what has been the trend is that they'll award to small companies, medium-sized companies, and large companies, but they'll give the large firm a big share of the pie, right? They'll say, oh, because you're a large company, you can do $1 billion worth of work. But you, small company, can only do $2 million because your bonding capacity is at $10 million. That is not treating everybody equally. And so LAWA, specifically its board and its leadership, has determined that we were going to maximize opportunities across the board to all companies, to build capacity, to grow small business. And so everyone that has a prime contract has the same amount of capacity to do work. Again, I think I would talk about the expediency of work, the flexibility to have on-call contractors in case of an emergency. Hopefully, we never have to use it for that purpose, but we will have access to contractors that can hit the ground running immediately in case we need it. And again, inclusivity has been the foundation for this procurement in a way that no other procurement ever has. And I think it's something that our board is very proud of, our CEO and our entire leadership. So the 4 pools of pre-qualified firms are pre-qualified based on the scope of work that they can perform. So obviously there's horizontal construction, vertical construction, horizontal design build, and vertical design build. Horizontal projects are usually those that require pavings, roads, bridges, and utilities. Vertical projects are those, like terminals, buildings, and other tenant improvements. Construction are those contracts that are basically design bid build, low bid type of contracts where that project has already been designed and we're just ready to go out to bid or get pricing for it. And then there's design build where maybe a minimal amount of the design has been done, or at least the design standards have been established, but it allows the design build team to come together, complete the design, and allow the builder to go ahead and build it. And of course, with design build, we save a lot of time as well. So there's expediency tied to that delivery method. But these are the 4 pools based on the scope of work. And we're always very proud to kind of showcase what we were able to accomplish. We awarded 31 contracts. 31 firms, 31 primes. Actually, it was 51 contracts that we awarded because some companies can do both construction and do design build. Some of them can do design build for vertical, and then it can also do horizontal. So it just depends on the company and what their expertise is for that company. And so here we have a rundown as to how many small companies we awarded to, medium-sized companies and large companies. But I want to highlight the yellow because it shows that 6 of the 9 small firms that were awarded a contract as a prime were new to LAWA. New LAWA primes. So this really sets the standard of this is not the same cast of characters coming to do work for LAWA or being awarded a project. No, we went ahead and had an open competitive process that allowed everyone to compete and had an opportunity to win. And so this demonstrates that that's exactly what occurred. And then, of course, 4 medium companies were also new to LAWA, new primes. So again, expanding our pool of qualified firms to come and help us do the work that we need on our CIP. And then we had 3 large firms that are also new to LAWA. And so again, expanding, capacity for our building program. But at the end of the day, it was 31 contracts, 31 primes that were awarded a contract. Some of them were awarded more than one. And these are 5-year contracts with 2 1-year options. And so that really essentially can be a 7-year contract. And we're really looking forward to having our small contractors grow their bonding capacity over time to be able to continue to grow and compete for work on our projects. And so again, the total combined funding authority not to exceed is $5 billion. And everyone that has a prime contract has the ability to perform that work depending on the number of projects awarded to them and also their bonding capacity. So this is a breakdown, and I know you're going to get the slide deck, so I'm not going to go over, but I wanted everybody to know who is pre-qualified to perform the horizontal construction, the vertical construction, the horizontal design build, and vertical design build. So whatever type of work that you do, you can go ahead and speak to the appropriate contractor. So that way you're not wasting your time talking to someone when you want to do a particular type of scope of work and it doesn't fall within their contract authority. So this is how the task order process works. So first of all, we have a project, and all of our projects go through an approval process. And so once that project is defined, our deputy executive directors will go ahead and evaluate that project and determine, what type of contractor should be part of that pool to be able to determine whether they're interested. And so then we will go ahead and issue a request for interest to the appropriate pool, which could be horizontal construction, horizontal design build, vertical construction, and vertical design build. And so they'll make that determination. They'll send it out to all of those prime contractors. And then the prime contractors have the ability to review that request for interest and determine whether this is something that they want to pursue. They have a choice. They're not obligated to pursue all the work that we invite them to pursue because, again, they have to make choices based on what's best for their company. And then once we go ahead and get a listing of those who are interested in competing for that task order, then they are then issued a task order solicitation, which provides more definition about the project, as well as what the special conditions are going to be for that particular project. And so they go ahead and compete for that. They submit a proposal. They get evaluated, and then our DEDs and our deputy executive directors, and also the panel, evaluation panel that has been established for that particular task order project, will go ahead and score it, and that information will then be shared with our chief development officer and then also our CEO for concurrence. And this is something that is also raised to the level of our board oversight committee, where every quarter they're given an update as well as to all of the opportunities and who has been awarded work and what has been our outcome for inclusivity. And again, reinforcing the importance of inclusivity on our CIP. And then after, the CEO will go ahead and execute a task order. We do want to make sure that there's, a level playing field for all businesses participating. So there is a conflict of interest determination that is made on a task order basis in case there are some companies that are working on other MATOCs that may pose a potential conflict, but that is evaluated at the task order level. So I'm going to go ahead and now transfer, the podium, the virtual podium, to Hans Tylenius, who's our Deputy Executive Director for our Terminal Development Improvement Program. And so he will go ahead and give you an overview of the schedule, as well as more definition on the projects that are either in procurement right now or will be shortly.
Okay. Veronica, thank you for the introduction. So, and you'll just move the slides as we go through this? Okay, perfect. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you and share with you, the work we have. As Veronica mentioned, this MATOC is our primary tool that we're using to go out to these, projects that are of all different shapes and sizes. Traditional work, perhaps like a runway or something, may still take more the conventional route because it has federal funding. But probably most of the stuff that is probably a bit more of interest to you will be through this MATOC. So what I'd like to do is kind of tell you that the names of these projects, things will resonate to you. They may resonate to you, but at least you have excuse me, a point of reference. And then I have some slides that just show you some pictures, which always helps put a picture with the words. So in this document here, this is what we have coming out. So on the very far right column is what's called RFI, request for interest. So as Veronica mentioned, we will ask firms, are you interested? Because the goal is to get down to about 4 or 5 firms, so that there's real value in actually bidding the work. So we have LAX Gateway. That's really the entry to the airport. As you know, we have the very iconic pylons. They're going to get rearranged, repositioned, refurbished. So that's what this is about. The delivery method is design build. So again, it goes to something of this magnitude. 100 million will probably go to the large firms, but of course they're going to need all the smaller firms to help. But again, the goal is so you're aware that this thing is starting to hit the street. Century Boulevard rehabilitation. So again, this has to do with the roads coming into the airport to rearrange lanes in that. Employee Lot C, electric bus charging, a bit self-explanatory. We have a lot of electrified buses, so they need to be plugged in. This is design bid build because we have the drawings. Century Boulevard beautification. Again, it really goes to the second line item. There's the actual roads, and then there's to make the roads very pretty. LAX South Terminal taxi lane. So that is a bit of airfield work. So that's coming out $65 million. LAWA Integrate Operations Center. So this is kind of our headquarters for where we communicate out for emergency response and just general operations. So that's a new building on the south side. That's going to be through construction management at risk. And then Imperial Highway north side. This is on the very Imperial Highway is the big road that's south of the airport. And we are required to do some aesthetic improvements because of the neighbor agreement we have. And then the next slide, just a bit more, terminal related work. So Terminal 5 is getting a full tear down and reconstruction. You'll see some pictures here shortly. That's been awarded to Hensel Phelps. Tibbet, which is the Tom Bradley International Terminal, is getting a big makeover. That is getting awarded to Clark Construction. Again, $250 million. T5 enabling components. So this has just been awarded to one firm is TEC, and the other one is PID Premier Interior. So they got those 2 jobs. Then we have some more enabling work, which is in the process of getting awarded in Tibbet. Tibbet West Ticketing, where we received bids from proposers. It's interior work. So far all these here are very interior terminal centric type work. T2 arrivals, we're basically creating a new corridor to put a hole in the wall between Terminal 1 and Terminal 2 so you don't have to go outside. Then we have the T2 refresh, which was some terrazzo work that we had just awarded. ERCS, if anyone is interested in this is an emergency response Wi-Fi system for the firefighters that is about to hit the street this week. So there's going to be like 4 small, medium firms, and they will need some electricians to do the work. There's also some fire protection involved with that. CTA West Station, we have a corridor we have to put in so people can traverse from the curb to the terminal. CTA departure level exterior refresh, kind of as the words say, the curbside needs a good makeover. CTA exit lane breach control. These are these glass doors that you walk through when you exit a terminal. There's like 3 flapper doors that open. That's what this is. And then there's, let's see, Century Sewer. We have to put in a new sewer. And then Terminal 4 concessions. Concessions, landlord related work. And then is there next slide? I think we get some pictures. Yeah, so keep going. So Terminal 5, you can say here has been awarded to Hensel Phelps. It's $1.3 billion. It's this entire terminal. The timeline is between now and the Olympics. So it has ticketing, the checkpoint, all the baggage screening, baggage claim, connectors to the neighboring terminals. Basically, this is our most outdated terminal. At some point, it's just makes more sense to tear it down and start over, considering all the amenities that people like to have nowadays. Next. Here, timeline. So we're in on the left there. We've gotten, board approval. We've onboarded the design builder. We want to start this at the end of 25, and then be done for the Olympics. And then I'm sure there'll be some things that leak over, but the idea is to get those gates open. So it is a very aggressive schedule. One thing of interest with this is we're building half of it off-site. We're doing this modular construction. That brings a lot of benefit for firms that maybe don't have the badges to work at the airport or don't have the insurance to work at an airport. It's a bit more traditional, let's say, offsite construction. So that touches, it's all the finishes: drywall, painting, toilet partitions, of course, structural steel, terrazzo flooring, all that. So, Hensel Phelps is the firm to, reach out to. Next. As I mentioned, there's a lot of enabling work. So part of the enabling scope, estimated 40 million, is, and highlighted in yellow there is, we've given it to TEC and Premier. It's basically getting the airlines moved out of Terminal 5 so we can tear it down and so they all get relocated around the airport. Next. Tibbet refresh. So this estimated value of 250 million is probably going to grow a little bit. Clark Construction was awarded the project, and we're starting. We're about to issue a notice to proceed and get the first estimate. It's a full makeover of the international ticketing hall and the bag claim hall. So it's almost, I say it's like renovating the kitchen while you're cooking Thanksgiving dinner. This place has to stay open while we redo the ceilings, the walls, the floors, the ticket counters. Here we're starting to see some new rendering, trying to brighten the place up. So next. Yeah, there's a great rendering. So and again, the schedule, most of this construction for Tibbet is all in 26 and all in 27. That's kind of where the heavy lift is. Next. All right, T2 refresh. So we're in the process of selecting firms, about 25 million. It's put a corridor in between Terminal 2 and Terminal 1. Next. And then we have the terrazzo work also in that same area. We have to put in terrazzo. Was awarded to MATA, SBE Prime, and a bit, self-explanatory terrazzo, and you move things out of the way so you can install the terrazzo floor. And then we have very small. This is only 400,000. Was awarded to Technion. We're relocating some of the antennas for the firefighter system. Next. And this one, which I mentioned earlier, is coming out on the street end of this week, is about 35 million. This is new antenna systems within Terminal 2 and 6 and parking garages 3 and 4. So just considered like a big interior Wi-Fi system dedicated to firefighters. The firms that are going to look at this are Birdie, J Squared, Kemp, and TEC. So they were the qualified design builders. Next. CTA West Station. We have to, as a design build, around 10 million. It's basically a corridor with, glass handrails, some glass windows, drywall, ceilings, flooring, lighting, fire protection, all on the non-secured side. So it's right in the between parking garage 3 and 4. So that's what that one is. Next. And then so I mostly oversee the terminal work. A peer of mine oversees more I'll say what's outside the terminals, so the roads and the airfield. So as I mentioned, the LAX gateway is where the new pylons, the entry comes in, about 100 million. In the lower left, you'll see who the pre-qualified contractors are that are going to bid this work. Next. The employee lot C, the bus station, our bus charging. This still needs to come out, but it's big battery station. Next. And then Century Boulevard rehabilitation, roadway improvements, widening, utilities, things of that nature. still needs to come out. And that kind of gives you an overview of, we do have a little bit of everything. So I think Veronica can get into also just how do you all know when something is out on the street. I mean, we just gave you a lot of information in 10 minutes. I'll let Veronica speak how we're communicating that out with our website. With that, thank you.
Thank you, Hans. Veronica, before you continue, I see our chairman has joined, and I don't know if he's able to come off mute and say greetings to the attendees. Gene Hale.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Sorry I was unable to be here at the beginning, but I think that this is a great opportunity for our members and others who are interested in doing business with the airport to really take a look at some of these opportunities. And that in Veronica and Hans, people that I know, they're there to assist you with trying to make opportunities happen for you. And I'm just pleased that we were able to accommodate our members and others who are on this call.
All righty. Thank you, Chairman Hale. Yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
really excited, and I know our members are going to want to get in touch with the primes that have won these contract awards as well. And so now we're going to get to some more details. Okay, thank you, Jean. And
Yes, thank
Veronica,
you.
the floor is yours again.
Thank you, Jean, for inviting us. We're happy to be here and to showcase the opportunity. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Inclusivity is obviously, I've been saying, is the bedrock of our CIP. Not only are we delivering facilities and infrastructure, but we're doing it the right way by maximizing economic impact in Los Angeles. And so I wanted to kind of share with you the requirements that have been incorporated into the MATOC, because these are requirements, these are not goals. And we are holding all the contractors accountable for meeting these requirements. And so the minimum small business participation on this MATOC is 30% for small businesses, 20% for local business, 15% for local small business, and 3% for disabled veterans. But we're also want to make sure that we are tracking the diversity of the firms who are doing work at the airport to make sure that we are touching everybody. I mean, I shouldn't use the word touching everyone, but basically including everybody in the process of being able to compete for our work and participate. So we're also tracking disadvantaged business enterprise, minority business enterprise, women business enterprise, and LGBTQ business enterprise firms as well. And so when we look at our inclusivity, we don't want what has usually been done. We want meaningful engagement, meaningful participation, meaningful capacity building. Because at the end of the day, we want to leave LA better than how we found it. And so we're also incorporating a requirement for our mentor protege program, reinforcing that we want the larger firms or even the small primes to mentor smaller firms to becoming more, to increase their capacity, to be able to be more competitive and to be able to address some of the areas of need that are specific to their company, not just workshops. Anyone can do a workshop. But how do you really, sit down with that small company and determine that maybe their IT systems are outdated? Maybe they're not using the proper scheduling software. Maybe it's that they need to look at their sub agreements or their prime agreements. So they need to start looking at their agreements like the big primes do, right? To protect their interests, protect their risk, and so on. And so we want to make sure that through this mentor protege program that we're leaving these firms better than how we found them. Because at the end of the day, that means we're leaving LA better than how we found it. And have measurable outcomes. Okay, so there's an agreement between the mentor and the mentee. And so we are privy to that agreement and we oversee it. Cash flow. I don't think there's anything more important to a small company, especially in construction, than cash flow and bonding. And the cash flow will impact your bonding. And so we want to make sure that we are moving money as quickly as possible. And so not only is LAWA improving its payment process, but we're also putting the onus on the primes to move cash flow to their subs. What can they do in order to move monies as quickly as possible? Maybe it's invoicing twice a month. Because again, this is public work, so they got to pay payroll every week, pay into the union trust fund every month. And so we want to make sure that what we're doing makes sense, that we are working diligently with our primes to make sure that they're doing their part and helping us grow small companies. Transformational programs for airport impact areas, an internship program. All the primes are required to establish an internship program and to hire local youth. Okay. Because we all know that for the most part, and I'll put myself, in that category, there was no one in my family that was an engineer or an architect. And so who can actually mentor me in those fields? And so what we want to do with these MATOCs is bring industry to the community to create opportunities for local youth. And it's not just those that go to USC and UCLA and LMU. No, in our contract it says
You better look up, man.
You better.
Hey,
Uh-oh. Where's
Hey.
Gene? Gene's having fun. And so we wanted to make sure that our community college students also had an opportunity. So we're really focused on making sure that our firms are engaging with the local community colleges to make sure that we're getting the diversity, and also not just the diversity, but also students in need of opportunity, and scholarships, making scholarships available so people can continue their higher education. And community investment. We are requiring all the companies to do STEM engagement in K through 12 schools, specifically in Title I schools. Title I schools are those schools where 40% or more of the students qualify for a free lunch. And so these are the kids, like many of the kids in Los Angeles, that need, to have that engagement with individuals that are performing careers that they've never been exposed to. And so we want to make sure that we're bringing industry to these schools. Community at large, what are you doing, to support the community? And I'm going to highlight, like Hensel Phelps. Hensel Phelps every year does a turkey giveaway during Thanksgiving. And it started off in Watts, and now it's like in 3 or 4 different locations. That is community at large engagement and contribution. And so we are pushing the envelope for all of our primes to think in that way too. Leave LA better than how you found it. And then local craft worker requirements. For those of you that are familiar with our project labor agreement says a 30% local worker hiring goal. In our contracts, we made it a requirement, and we made it a requirement at every tier. And so this means that we are creating opportunities in every craft so that it's not just one type of business, bringing on the local workers. It's going to be all the businesses bringing on local workers to ensure that we are creating as many opportunities for local workers to get through the apprenticeship and become a journeyman, or at the same time, making sure that we're keeping those wages in our local economy, because these are tremendous wages and we need to go ahead and create community wealth. And they're also required to hire a minimum number of higher LX graduates. We are putting a lot of effort in cultivating a local workforce, and we have this program, at Southwest College, and we want to make sure that our graduates have a pathway into apprenticeship, and through the MATOC, we are making that a reality. I wanted to highlight, just how we're doing as it relates to how much we paid out. And this is an undercount because we're using a system that unfortunately was not utilized uniformity since 2018. But as you can see, we paid out $1.9 billion to small businesses, $2.2 billion to local businesses, $944 million to local small businesses, and $389 million to disabled veteran-owned businesses. And on the green side, you can focus again on what I said: proactive compliance, prompt payment, cash flow management. Right now, we are paying on our professional services. Again, we haven't awarded there's no work yet for most of the MATOC construction contracts, so I can't tell you what the prompt payment is on those. But on the other MATOCs, it's 21 days. And we're still trying to bring that down, because again, the more that we make an effort to move money into our local economy through our small businesses, they're going to be able to grow. They're going to be able to make payroll. They're going to be able to invest in their companies so that build capacity. And so all of this is connected. And so we just got to make sure that we enforce it as much as we can. And so I wanted to showcase the LAMP projects and the workforce outcomes. Again, the LAMP ones, the automated people mover, the CONRAC, the ITF, all of those projects are part of the LAMP program. program. But look at how many jobs, okay, have been created. These are craft jobs, over 25,000. And out of those 25,000, 8,100 were local workers. Now, if you go down on that column, on that orange column, $66.80 an hour. Okay. People say, oh, that's prevailing wage with benefits. You know what it is? For me, it's more than that. For me, these are transformative wages that changes the future of local families. And community wealth, generational wealth begins with wages like this. And so the more that we are able to create pathways for local residents to begin a quality career in construction and be able to earn these wages and have the benefit, have the health care, have the vacation time, they're going to be able to do more for their families and our communities. And so I cannot reinforce this enough, but this is the bottom line. What are we doing? These are the boots on the ground. These are the wages that people are taking home, and we got to do more of this. As you can see, the differential between a non-local worker and a local worker is not that much anymore. Before, the disparity was bigger, right? But not anymore. That means we're cultivating more local workers, and they're growing. They're journeying out. They're earning the higher wages, and they're having access to the other crafts that traditionally people of color were not represented. You know, it's no longer just the carpenters and the laborers and the cement masons. Now we have HVAC workers, electricians, pipe fitters, operators. And so the more that we do this, we change the face of this industry and we create economic wealth in our local communities that need it the most. And here is for now, how do we access opportunities at the airport? And so Ramp LA, maybe many of the viewers today have used this system, and we will continue to use this system to notify everyone regarding upcoming contracts. Right, this is where the announcement is made based on your NAICS code and so on. And it's not just LAWA projects; it's all city projects. And so you have the ability to be able to receive notification of all contracts being procured by the city and all of its departments. When I say city, it's all the departments and includes all the proprietary. So just like the airport, Los Angeles World Airports is a proprietary department, so is the Port of Los Angeles and Department of Water and Power. These are three major departments that have extensive opportunities, not just for construction, but also for commodities. You know, whatever you sell, we probably buy it. If you sell light bulbs, we probably buy light bulbs because we got to go ahead and keep everything lit. But again, take a look. If you are not registered yet with RAMP, please do so that you'll get opportunities when they become available. And so this is something that's new, and I wanted to share it with all of you. You're the first ones to see it. And this is our MATOC webpage, because the question is, how do we connect interested contractors to the primes to be able to build this work? Mr. Tylenius went ahead and said, look, we have awarded this project, we issued the NTP, but how are we going to go ahead and make sure that interested subcontractors can connect to Hensel Phelps, Clark Construction, to MATA, to TEC, to everyone performing work? So this is where now you can come and see what is available through the MATOC, the construction MATOC. So I'm going to go ahead and bear with me because sometimes technology is not my best friend. But I want to share with you the capabilities. Can everyone see the webpage?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And so this is the webpage that has been created specifically for the MATOC construction. And as you can see, it gives you a description, which, I've already talked about what the MATOC is. But for people coming to this page for the first time, they may not know what a MATOC is. And so we wanted to educate everyone so they understand how this works. And then also the type of pools, pre-qualified contractors that we have determined based on this procurement process. Again, the horizontal work vertical work, construction, design, build, so that everyone knows the different types of work that is available, and reinforcing the commitment that our board made and our executive team have made that we are serious about small business, local business, and disabled veteran-owned business participation. These are requirements. These are not goals. We're not playing a good fake effort. This is about outcomes. And I meet these primes. This is something we review either every 2 weeks or every month, depending on the size and complexity of the project. We are being vigilant. We want to make sure there's meaningful participation and have subcontracting opportunities for those that are seeking it. The quick links, I wanted to create something that you can just go to it and be able to see what you want to see. And so the first one is the project schedule. And, Mr. Tylenas went ahead and kind of gave an overview of the schedule. But here, as soon as it's updated, you will be able to see the schedule. Okay. We don't have all the projects on the schedule yet. We're going to do about 70 projects. And so as those projects are defined and ready, they're going to be added to the schedule. And most likely, I'm either just going to show which ones have been awarded, because we don't want to lose sight of that, because that's also an opportunity. But this is the schedule. So you'll be able to look at that schedule. Then this is where the opportunities are immediate. Okay. So these are the task order solicitations. So as you can see, the Terminal 2 refresh arrivals and departure project. I'm just going to give this one as an example. This is CMAR. It's $15 million estimated value. The proposals are going to be due on June 11th. On the right, you have the list of those primes who are going to be submitting a proposal for that work. So this tells you who you should be contacting, because these are the primes who are focused on this particular project. And the same is true. For example, if we go down to the first one way at the bottom, which was the T5 renovation project, this is the one that was awarded to Hensel Phelps. But again, Hensel Phelps competed against Austin Commercial and PCL, but they were the winner. I want to make sure that you always know who competed for that work, and then also who got awarded that work. Because again, that is creating a level of transparency. At the same time, it's telling you another company that's pursuing this type of work that you should also contact, because they're also a prime. And so they may be working on, competing for that particular project and they didn't get it, but it doesn't mean that they're not competing for others. And so you need to start developing these relationships with all of our primes. And as you can see, for every single one of them, you will know who has been shortlisted, who will be submitting, who received the NTP, meaning who was awarded the project, who received a notice of intent to award, which basically they have been determined to be the winning, bidder or proposer. And so they get a notice of intent to award, which basically means that they will get a task order and then they will get a notice to perform an NTP. And so this information is extremely valuable to all subcontractors, because you know who you need to contact. But then the question is, who do I contact, at these companies, right? And so what we also wanted to do was to make sure that you had that information as well. And so here you can go to MATOC contractors, and it's going to list it by the type of work that they have been authorized or contracted to perform. So for example, all these companies here have a contract to perform vertical construction. So if you look at AECOM, okay, it's the first one. They're a large firm. So we put the size so that you would also know, are they a small, medium, or large firm? And then the point of contact. And then, so Steve Cho is the point of contact for AECOM. But he is not, and I don't want to, minimize this, but he is not like the outreach person. He is a decision maker. And so most of the people that you see as a point of contact here are either the points of contact for that particular contract, for the MATOC, or their estimator, or another, project manager or executive. And so you're going to be able to connect with the appropriate person for that company. And so Here's vertical construction, vertical design build. And again, some of those companies, you can see that AECOM is also has a contract to perform vertical design build. So you'll see a replication. But I wanted to make sure that you knew they can perform both, that there's an opportunity for two types of projects that they can perform. And I think AECOM is also here on horizontal construction. And so if you think about it, if you reach out to AECOM, there's three types of projects, right? Three types of contracts that they've been authorized to perform. And so again, this gives you the ability to connect with the right person, to establish a relationship, even if there's nothing for you at this point in time. Just send them an email. Say, hi, I sat through a workshop from LAX, from LAWA, regarding the MATOC, and I'm interested in knowing more or establishing a relationship with you. And this is what I perform. Now, one of the things that I want everybody to do, and some people will hate me for it, but if you send emails to these points of contact and they don't respond, I want you to tell me. Okay? Because we want to make sure that the relationships that we're trying to establish are meaningful and honest. And that only happens when people connect. And so just make sure that you do your part. If for some reason something fails along the way, there's a disconnect, use me. Connect with me and I will help you connect with them. Okay? Because this is a partnership. And then we also went ahead and created a registration link so that if you want to be notified, so that you don't have to come here, every week, we will notify you when we make a change. We will notify you when we added a new task order solicitation, or if the schedule has changed, we've added more projects. Whenever there is a change, we will go ahead and notify you. And so you can go on here and register. And the information is basic. It's you, your point of contact information, your company, the type of certifications you have, your contractor licenses, and then what type of construction or what type of service or what type of commodity, right? So do you provide construction services, engineering, architecture, environmental, your material supplier, you do testing, inspection, whatever it is, you click it, so that we know that you provide this service or this product. And so that way we can also do more tailored communications when there is a need, because a lot of the primes will ask us, we're having trouble doing this. We're having trouble identifying such and such type of companies. So we want to be able to also be a resource for these primes. And so this is the registration process. And like I said, when there's a change, you will be notified. And so this, and then at the bottom here is a listing, the one I showed you before, which is the listing of the contractors by the type of contract that they have been awarded to perform. And so again, you will be able to, if you're just doing horizontal work, then just look at the horizontal contractor list, and then you have the points of contact. Okay, so this is our way of being able to help small companies navigate LAWA, to be able to go ahead and connect with those that are performing work for LAWA, with the intent of maximizing the local economic impact, building the capacity of local small business, and just, like I said, and I keep on saying this, leaving LA better than how we found it. So with that, we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, Veronica. Please, a round of applause for all of this excellent, excellent information. This is stuff that we work on forever, trying to get the transparency about who's got the contract, how do we contact them, and then here you are, this one-stop shop. I love it, love it, love it, and I hope that everyone on the line can see themselves participating some kind of way. You may not do widgets, but like you said, you do light bulbs, or you provide another kind of professional services. And so you've given the list, and we'll be providing this deck to Each of the attendees here will be providing this deck. So this really is your playbook, if you will, on how to do business with LAX by contacting these contractors and introducing yourself as a company. Give them a little time before you turn them into Veronica. Give them some time to get back with you. But yeah, that's billions of dollars worth of contracts out there. Okay, so if you have a question, if you could please raise your hand, and that's I'm going to call on you. And so first I see Miss Ginger Campbell. If you could come off mute and ask a question.
Hi. Hi, Veronica. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for the presentation today. I just have a quick question. To what extent, like everything that was talked about today was primarily, it's all about contracting and people that build things, architects, engineers. What about other professional services, and when might they be coming down the pike, or is that something we deal with you or with the primes? For example, we do live virtual event production, PR, marketing, that sort of thing. And so I'd just like to know how, we could get our foot in the door and how we might make that approach.
Okay, great question. There's maybe 2 or 3 different ways. One is I focused my attention today literally on construction, and you're right, it's all about building and construction and so on. But we also have other MATOCs. We have a MATOC for environmental services. We have a MATOC for planning and design. And then we also have a MATOC for program services. Now, where I can see a company providing this type of support would be under planning and design, which is working with the engineers and architects who are designing new projects for us, right? And, they have stakeholder engagement. They get a lot of feedback. So I can see that naturally happening there. But program services, these are almost everything that you can think of that we would need to support our capital program can be procured through our program services. Now, they have a list of primes, and those primes have a list of subconsultants already. They've gone through this process of being able to develop their teams. Okay. What I can do, and you can send me a separate email, I can go ahead and send you the list of primes. And so that you can go ahead and contact them and determine, one, whether there's room on their team. Because again, the need has to come from LAWA, right? We create the demand, and then those companies will go ahead and say, oh, we have the sub that can go ahead and provide that service to you, LAWA. And so that's one way. Okay, so that's the MATOC is one way. The other way is to go, and I'm going to go into the upcoming opportunities within LAWA, because again, when I'm, both Hans and I were just talking about our capital program, right? So we're only one department. We're not the airport affairs department. We're not the sourcing division, or the maintenance and so on. So there's many more departments at the airport. And so here you can go into current opportunities and do a sort, for the type of, yours would be a request for proposal, right? And let's see, current agreement has extensions, and I'm just gonna click one. Okay. And so here we have, here's luggage carts. Okay. But again, you can search it, but there's different ones, different types of services, different type of products that we need. But that just shows you how broad it is where we're looking for luggage carts. And so you just have to go in here, and then there's a link, obviously, from our webpage, the MATOC webpage, to this site as well. But this is the contracting opportunities webpage on the LAWA website. Now, let me show you this. Going back to the MATOC webpage. If you click on how to do business with the Los Angeles World Airports, you're going to learn about all the opportunities with LAWA. Okay, not just the construction or design that is affiliated with the capital program. But here, you can go ahead and attend one of these sessions, and there's one tomorrow. Okay, it's the first Wednesday of every other month our sourcing division will go ahead and conduct these sessions, and there's representatives from every single department talking about some of the upcoming opportunities that they have. And there's a forecast. In the previous page, you do an 18-month forecast. Okay, so you can also look at who has those existing contracts right now and when are they going to expire. Okay, if you do your research, and this is what I would advise you to do, if you see a service that's related to what you do and their contract is going to expire, I would search for the old RFQ that they competed for so that you know, what were the parameters of that contract? What were they looking for? What are the requirements that LAWA imposes so that you're better prepared to compete for it? Okay. It takes a little bit more effort, but at least you know us better, right? You will get to know LAWA better. You will know how we do business, and you know the type of opportunities that we have available. I would not hesitate on still contacting some of our prime contractors on the construction side because they do a lot of outreach. Some of them are doing design build, and which means that they'll have an opportunity to be more interactive from a standpoint of creating awareness with the community and so on. And so take a look at that too. Okay. And maybe they don't have an opportunity with us, but it doesn't mean that they are not doing work for another agency where they can use your service. It's about developing the relationship. Did that answer your question, Ginger?
I think that answered a lot of questions, Veronica, especially around professional services and how to navigate that. And I think it's so important that we just begin to understand the culture of LAWA and then also how to navigate the system. And then now that I'm looking at, especially having a list of these primes, I'm going to be contacting Clark and Hensel Phelps and TEC and PCL. And that's what we're going to do this summer on Galactic AM is have these folks come out and talk about their opportunities that they have at various levels, not just construction, but professional. I see someone in the chat was asking about catering. I know one of our members has promotional items. And so this is a great, like you said, that may not be related to this project, but at least you begin to establish a relationship with those folks that are in construction and they have those ancillary needs that you may not think that's what they do, but they've got to get the word out some kind of way, Ginger. And so I know that you're here to help them. And so, okay, let's take another question. Ms. Keisha Mills.
Good morning. Thank you for the presentation. It was wonderful. I have two questions. To do business with LAWA, do you have to have membership? And my second question, do MATOC have resources for food and beverages?
Great questions. No membership required. This is public works, so it's open to everyone. It's about open competition, open access. For food and beverage, meaning for like catering services?
No, I have a sugar-free chocolate company.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so two opportunities. One is outside of my sphere, which would be concessions. Okay, so you have to learn about the opportunities for concessions because that means you can get your product into the airport. And tomorrow's session will cover concessions. Okay, so make sure that you attend the How to Do Business with LAWA if you can tomorrow and see what is the process to become a concessionaire or get your product in there. For example, there are some vendors like Westfield, right? Everybody knows Westfield because they're almost in every single airport across the country. But, in order for them to demonstrate their commitment to inclusivity, right, they can use your firm, they can use your product, they can sell your product. And so, again, looking at direct ways and indirect ways of getting you in. Okay. So hopefully that answered your question.
Veronica, can you tell us a little bit more about what the who, what, when, where, why of tomorrow, how to do business?
Sure. It's right here on the webpage, and it's the How to Do Business with LAWA. And like I said, it's the first Wednesday of every other month.
Okay.
And so tomorrow is the day. You can go ahead and RSVP here. And it's for tomorrow. And let's see, does it
what
tell
time?
me? Yeah, I'm trying to see if it doesn't say what time, but let me see in the RSVP. 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And
there you go.
And so they'll cover all the different, see, there it goes.
Yep.
Procurement, bid, concessions.
Okay, we jumped in right at the right time. Okay, Miss Eve Mathis, got a question?
Yes, I do. Hi. And it's kind of a little bit like Keisha, but a little different. I have a plant-based serveware company, so all of our serveware is made with plants that certified to compost in landfill within 6 months. And I'm just wondering, do the construction sites, is there a caterer that may need like agave cutlery or agave straws or agave cups or sugarcane clamshells, things like that? And is that an option? Or two, is there a caterer or someone inside the airports that would want these to the restaurants that are in the airports?
I think those are two viable opportunities. I would recommend that you go to the session tomorrow to learn about concessions. We do have the AMAC organization, right, which focuses on concessions. I will go ahead and send this information to Angela, and then she can share it with everybody. But I think that will also create an opportunity for you because they tend to bring the concessionaires together. And what your product is extremely important for LAWA because we are about minimizing our carbon footprint, whether it be through automobiles, but also through waste. Right. So if you're providing us, the opportunity of providing the concessionaires an opportunity to use the cutlery that's going to compost, then that is helping us be a better steward of the environment. And so we definitely want you to communicate with them. The contractors, again, with them, it's because they usually hire a caterer to do things, so they may connect you to their caterers, but that is minimal. I would use the AMAC to get to the concessionaires because then you get to a lot of them at one time. But again, I don't want to dissuade you from interacting with our primes, but I just think that if they were to purchase something, it'd be so minimal, and I don't know whether they're I just don't know whether there's the economy of scale for you there. Okay. And but for those who are caterers, a lot of our contractors hire caterers to celebrate, for example, safety. And so they bring on caterers, provide lunch for their craft workers. They also do a lot of lunches. So you can go ahead and bring the lunches and so on. And then the other thing, I know promotional products, there was somebody that sells promotional products. They also buy t-shirts. They celebrate, safety. And so they'll do safety week or they'll probably give a t-shirt to all of their workers. And so again, a lot of direct and indirect and a lot of ancillary type of opportunities that can be pursued, through our primes.
That's great. Yeah, lots of opportunity. Everybody just got to get very creative and get out there. Okay, question from Carl.
Yes, thanks, Angela. Veronica, you had mentioned earlier if an individual wanted to go to a different category, email you, and then you can give us the list of those primes. Can you share your contact information so I'll have your email address?
Sure.
Thank you.
Great.
Great job, Angela.
Okay, let's see.
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, also, Veronica, I see in the chat people are asking about an opportunity. Okay, where would someone go for services that could reduce violence and assess threats or manage conflict?
Like at
the airport?
Airport threats through safety, through our police department. I would
at the airport.
Yes, I would definitely go to the session if you can tomorrow, because our police department also releases RFPs and RFBs. So that may be an opportunity.
All right.
Thanks. I couldn't figure out how to get the hand raised there. So that was my question. Thanks.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's down there under React.
This
at the bottom.
I got it. It didn't work for me for some reason. But that's okay. That's a really good idea to attend the meeting tomorrow. It's more like a chat bot, by the way. This is artificial intelligence, large language model that somebody would use in the event that you're threatened. So I'll attend the meeting tomorrow. So I appreciate that.
All right, Ginevra. Come off mute.
Okay. Good
There
morning.
you go. Huh?
First of all, I am so excited. I was so excited about this particular date and this particular meeting. I need better information on getting certified. I have a small shadow charter service, and I have been the actual driver that has taken the employees of the construction companies from where they park their cars to the airport to work. So, but getting certified and not having a brick and mortar is just almost like it seems impossible, but I know there has to be a way to have it done.
Okay. I am going to go ahead and connect you with um, Sophia Cavalli, who is our industry relations staff member. She's part of our economic impact team member. And I can forward you on to department, but I want to make sure that someone's helping you and guiding you. And Sophia will go ahead and do that. So email me and I'll connect you to Sophia so that we can get you certified. The fact that you don't have brick and mortar should not be a barrier for your company to be certified. Again, if there's anything that we learned through COVID is that, and through the technology, that AI, is that you don't have to be anywhere physically. So that should not be a barrier. So we'll go ahead and try to figure that out. And if we need to advocate for you at the Department of General Services, we will.
Okay. Thank you so much.
There
Thank you, Angela.
You're welcome.
Good.
Thank you, Black.
You're so welcome. Yes. Okay. And so last question here, we'll have to go Mr. David Brown.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you, Veronica. You know, I worked with LAWA in the early 2000s. I worked with the Community Relations Department, and I did workshops with the Westchester Library and also created some educational materials for youth. So I was wondering if that department is still active and what type of opportunities there may be with those specific professional services.
The department is quite active. They're still doing a lot of engagement in the community. And I would most likely everyone that you was connected with in the past is probably no longer there. Some of those people have already retired. It's because I knew some of my colleagues from way back when. But two things. I would definitely recommend that you go to the session tomorrow if you can, and then email me, and then I will give you the point of contact for community relations.
Okay, that'd be great, because I worked with Barbara Yamamoto and Shirley Hoffman, so I worked with them extensively.
They retired.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, that's going to have to do it for us today. You might want to put your questions in the chat. Or
I think you got LaWanda. You have LaWanda?
Oh, okay. Well, there was somebody else that I turned down too before.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, that I did. Okay, so I'm going to pick the Learning Executive Director. Then I got to take that person first, because when I said last question, they took their hand down. So is there somebody now back there behind Learning Executive Director?
Yes, good morning. My name is Cale Johnson. I'm the Executive Director for Parent Institute for Quality Education. We've been around since 1987. But my question is in regards to inclusivity in the workforce development section of your presentation. You mentioned community investment, but you sort of kind of glanced over that particular area, not really indicating how much investment was going to be happening, what the agencies would need to do, what are some of the parameters in that particular section. I would like to kind of learn more information about that. I don't know if that's going to be on tomorrow's session or not, but I kind of wanted to gauge if there's a specific percentage of investment that each agency is required to meet.
That is a fabulous question. Obviously, this was not a workforce. I only touched on the number of workers and the wages, the economic impact. But I have an annual report on what we've done with youth K-12 in 2024, and I can share that with you. And that kind of gives you a glimpse. We just finished doing Architectural Week. That was last month, And so we were in different schools, bringing in industry. So there's a lot of investment that's happening. We have Hire LAX, which is our apprenticeship readiness training program. In fact, on Friday, we have a graduation. And not only do we have our regular graduation, but we're also celebrating the fact that we are graduating the 100th woman from that program. Exactly. We need to change the face of this industry and embrace gender equity by creating these pathways for women. And then we're also launching our girls camp this summer to all the careers, aviation related careers, specifically in the architecture, engineering, construction, and also aircraft mechanics, because again, there's a big demand for that. And the aircraft mechanics training program is actually co-located at Van Nuys Airport. So again, it's elevating the opportunities, but creating meaningful pathways into those careers, but starting with youth. Because to me, we can go ahead and complain why ownership of firms don't look a certain way, right? And we can continue having that town hall meeting. But if we're not cultivating a workforce that looks like us, then we're never going to have the entrepreneurs that look like us, that are competitive and growing. And so, again, I'm happy to share that. And maybe, Angela, we can do something on workforce where I can kind of highlight what we're doing. Because this is where, I love inclusivity. I mean, Angela knows me, but I love inclusivity. I love workforce. But what really, really just makes my day is the kids. Because if we are not investing in them and creating a pathway to quality career jobs, we are derelict in our responsibilities, especially someone like me and others like me in other agencies, when we are investing so much in capital programs. We need to make sure that we're elevating the entire community, not just contractors, not just engineers, but the future contractors and the future engineers as well. So anyhow, I mean, that's my soapbox, as you can tell.
Oh, that's great. Okay, and so for real though, now my last question goes to LaWanda. You guys have Veronica's email if you'd like to send her some information or questions after this is over. Okay, Miss LaWanda.
Okay, well, good. Thank you. Thank you for the privilege and the opportunity to speak. I do not have a question. I just wanted to say thank you. This was one of the most amazing workshops that I have been on, working in LAX for for the tenure of my career, from one airline to another, and then from another country, and just coming back now to LA. I'm excited and delighted to be a part of this. So that was it. No question. I just want to close it out to say you did a fantabulous job. Angela, you were on point. And Veronica, your heart as a leader. Where my leaders at? Come on.
That's great.
Thank you.
Oh, that was perfect. Oh, perfect.
Thank you, LaWanda.
Yes, that's great. All right, everyone's new BFF is Miss Veronica Soto. And before we close out, we're going to toss it over to Jessica O'Davis, who's going to tell us about upcoming GLAC events and opportunities and programs and projects. Ms. Jessica? I think she's trying to pull something up on the screen. Yes?
Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you now.
Perfect. When I started sharing, my mute button jumped screen.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much, Veronica Soto. Thank you so much to your colleague as well for this wonderful, informational webinar. It is a wealth of information. And with that, there's a second webinar that they're doing, regularly. I dropped the link in the chat. We'll make sure the link is in our thank you email at the end as well, so that you guys have that. You can make sure you hop on at 9 o'clock tomorrow. And then for our upcoming events, we have some really amazing upcoming events. You may not know, but GLAC also has a 501c3, our Ed Fund, Education Fund and Foundation. And this is a scholarship for inner city high school students. So we work with 5 high schools, and they identify, 2 or more students at their school that are deserving of scholarships. And so we have 12 scholarships this year. And so we're going to be celebrating them at our 26th annual Ed Fund Scholarship Reception. It's going to be at the Proud Bird, Thursday, June 26th at 5 p.m. This is a wonderful event. If you want more information on how you can sponsor, if you want to just get a ticket, a seat in the room, we have individual tickets. And that will go directly to a scholarship, or you can, request our deck and we can share more information on how you can sponsor a full scholarship for one or more scholars. These kids are really deserving scholars that just need a chance. So we would love for you to come and help give them that
name
chance.
the schools?
We also just graduated our Business Evolution program, and we are open for new applications.
The schools that the students come from with our Ed Fund program?
They come from Hamilton, Jordan, Dorsey, Washington, and Crenshaw High.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
So our Business Evolution program just graduated its latest cohort in May, and we are taking applications for the new 2025-2026 cohort. This is an amazing program that's going to help you grow We have a number of BEP members here right now, and I know they can testify to how helpful this was in getting their business ready and elevated for connections like events, like connecting with LAWA and contracts. So make sure that you scan the QR code, go to our website, and apply for the BEP program, as well as scan the QR code and go to our website and find any events. We will have an informational session in July. That date will be coming to our calendar soon. It's not quite there yet, so make sure you check back for that BEP. And as always, Black is your premier Chamber of Commerce. We're here to advocate for you. We're here to help your business connect with other businesses, B2B, and to connect with customers. So if you're looking for somewhere to call home, we would love to have you as a member if you're not a member already. With that, thank you all so much. We appreciate you. And I'm going to give it back to Ms. Angela to close us out.
All righty. Thank you so much, Jessica. Okay, and with that, that concludes this month's GLAC at the AM. Again, as Jessica mentioned, where we aim to educate, equip, engage, and empower. And thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're going to make sure that we send you out a copy of Veronica's deck and provide you with other additional information that's come across us on the chat room. And we will see you at the next event.